Okay. Hello, welcome to accounting lesson. Today we are looking at the double entry system. I'm looking at the double entry. So I want to try to explain what is a double entry system. So in accounting, double entry system is very important because if you don't know double entry system, you don't know accounting. That's one of the things that you need to know. And we should always understand that every business transaction is taking place because it has two aspects. We have the receiving aspect and the giving aspect. This is how we treat a transaction in accounts. So one of the things that really matters is that you should understand that these two aspects form part of what we call a business transaction. And we say a business transaction, so we say there's a giving aspect and what? Receiving aspect. You see? This is how we look at double entry system, the receiving aspect and the giving aspect. And we say that we always have to look at because it says that there are two aspects of a business transaction. And we say what is a business transaction? Business transaction. A transaction is a summary of what business is doing. That's what we call a transaction. It's a summary of what the business is doing. That's how we define a transaction. And we are saying that by recording the receiving and the giving account, we are completing the double entry system. So the double entry system can only be complete when you are recording the receiving aspect and the giving aspect. That's when we say we have completed the double entry system. So one of the things that you need to know is that the double entry system says that every transaction should be recorded twice, which means we only record transaction twice when we talk about double entry system. We are recording a transaction twice. That's how we define, that's how we understand the double entry system. That's how we apply it to the books of accounts, making sure that we are recording transactions twice. At the same time, we'll be looking at once as a debit, once as a credit. So we have what we call the golden rule, the golden rule of double entry. So we want to try to explain that. What is the golden rule of double entry? It's like the golden rule that defines double entry system. So the golden rule of double entry system is very important. At the same time, we are saying that the golden rule for making entries in the ledger states that for every debit entry, there's an equal and opposite credit entry. For every debit entry, there is an equal or opposite entry. There's an equal or opposite entry. Every debit entry, there's an equal or opposite entry. So we want to try to explain this golden rule according to the stages in which it is applied by the double entry system. So the thing that we need to look at right now is when double entry system of a transaction is complete. It's completed when. So we have to look at three things when double entry can be completed. When double entry can be completed. You have to look at three things. What are those three things? Anyone want to try? What are those three things? You should state the two accounts are affected by the what? Of the transaction. The two accounts affected by the transaction. Another one, try. State the receiving and giving account. State the receiving and giving account. Debit the receiving and credit the what? Giving. Okay. So this is when we say double entry system can be completed when we look at the three things that defines the double entry system. The first thing is always look at the two accounts affected by the what? By the transaction. Because we say double entry system is a twofold system. it's affecting two accounts, the giving aspect and the what? And the receiving aspect. At the same time, we should state the recording, we should state the what? The necessary, the receiving and the giving account and everything. And then lastly, we should debit the receiving and credit the what? The giving. Debit the receiver, credit the what? The giver. That's how we look at the double entry system in accounting and everything. So that's how we do it. Right. So let's look at the way double entry for capital introduced by the owner. And we said capital is what? What is capital first and foremost? By the proprietor and so it's money invested in the business by the what? The proprietor himself and the owner of the what? Of the business. So we want to look at how we can do the double entry for capital introduced by the what? By the owner. So the first thing is that when capital is introduced by the owner receives cash or a check or any other asset bought into business, and the owner becomes the creditor or the supplier, and he becomes the creditor or what? Or the supplier, because he's the one who has injected the cash into the business. Either he's an asset or he becomes the what? The supplier who has supplied the capital to the business. And so in this case, we debit what has been received and by the business. We record what was received by what? We debit what is being received by the business. We debit what is being received by the what? By the business. Then by the business from the owner, and credit the what? Credit capital account. The business by the owner. Then we credit the capital account. This is how we perform the double entry when there is capital being introduced by the owner in the business. You see, you debit the what? So the way we do the transaction, here we debit the what? The asset account, and then we credit capital account. Then we credit the capital account. So this is how you do the double entry for capital introduced by the what? By the owners. You make sure that you know that the business is the one being supplied the assets. At the same time, we are looking at we debit what is the business receiving by the business from the owner. Then we credit the what? The capital account. This is the double entry for capital introduced by the what? By the owner. See? So this is how we do it. So let's try to work it out and see what the double entry for capital introduced by the owner looks like. And let's do that. Correct.